something to say, there's something to say.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is OurHouse21 here, and it's time for another unboxing. It's the holiday season, and it seems like around this time of year, I just unbox the heck out of all kind of stuff because I just have no impulse control on these things. No, I'm kidding. I do have impulse control, but I also love the build. And holiday seasons, especially around Black Friday, is when you find a lot of really good deals on stuff. So for those of you new to the channel, RC Physics is all about the science and technology around our favorite RC hobbies. I do airplanes, I do drones, I do RC cars, and I do all kind of other random things, including 3D printing and Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and stuff like that. So I'm all over the place. But specifically, for right now, we're talking about cars. And this is a cool thing that I've been seeing online for a long time, and I've been toying around with the idea of getting into, and finally I said, screw it. I saw a deal that I couldn't pass up. It was a Black Friday deal that was just beyond belief. So not only did I buy one of these things, I bought four. But I bought four with the intention of immediately selling three. And I sold those three, and the proceeds for those three not only sold for the whole lot, but also financed some other projects I have coming along that have yet to be displayed on the channel yet. So just stay tuned, you'll see all that. But let's go ahead and cut the preamble. Let's get to what's in the bag. Unbagging. Okay, so right here, this is cool. Now, I watch a lot of RC YouTubers, and one of my favorite channels are the RC Sailors. So shout out to the RC Sailors. I don't know if you guys watch my videos, but you know, you guys do good stuff, and I appreciate the fact that you guys do a lot of good family-friendly content, because I do family-friendly content myself. I'm a family-friendly kind of guy. So one of the things that they sell a lot of are these WLToys RC cars. And I saw the RC Sailors and a bunch of other people getting into these 1/14 scale, and they actually have a bunch of different scales, but WLToys, also marketed as XK, but they sell all sorts of what I'll say entry-level hobby grade cars at really good prices. The thing is, you have to be careful with these things because the electronics that go into them, they're not going to be at the same level that you get from an Arma or a Traxxas or an Axial or any of the, I'll say the more commonplace brands that you see in the United States. They have a level of quality behind them, but they're not at the same level. But one of the good things about these platforms are, number one, they have a very avid, very dedicated community around them. And number two, you can get parts. They do have fairly decent part support. You just have to wait for it. So, so if you get one of these things and you wreck it, you will have a good chance to be able to fix it. You just might have to wait 2-3 weeks before the parts come in. So that's kind of what you get for this type of thing. But the pricing is phenomenal. I'm not going to tell you what I got for the Black Friday deal, just because I don't want to tick off the people who I sold the other ones I went to. But let's just say that the first car that I sold basically paid for the other three that came through. It was nuts. So, but you can buy these guys at just about $100 each with one battery. So if you know how to do math, you pretty much, I pretty much told you how much I paid for the car. But anyway, I got a really good deal. So the ones that I sold paid for this one and then some. But let's go ahead and get into the box. So this right here, as I mentioned from the RC Sailors and some of the other reviews, people have been reviewing this particular platform a while. Honestly, the RC Sailors said they didn't like this one too much. But a lot of people, a lot of other channels, they raved about this thing. And I'll point out why the Sailors said that they didn't like it. But you see, really cool picture, you know, and I was a little nervous because a lot of times the picture says that it's one thing, and they make a lot of big claims already on the box. It's 14th scale racing model series, but says it's 60 kilometers an hour. For those of us who speak American, that's about 35 miles an hour. Okay, but all-wheel drive, 2.4 gigahertz radio system. It's electric, so it runs off batteries. Again, same information here. It's available in 2 colors, red and green. I opted for the red one for myself. So there's nothing real here. Professional high torsion propeller. Yeah, okay. I'll just leave that for translation. High capacity rechargeable battery, powerful high speed motor. Okay. RC system included. So basically this is in the box, ready to run. Let's go ahead and just pull it out and show you what we actually get. So this runs on a lithium battery. I need to check. I have a suspicion it probably comes with a lithium ion battery. I don't think this comes with a LiPo. I'll talk about the difference in that in just a minute, but it comes with a USB charger. So it actually has a 2S system. For those who don't know, S means the number followed by the S tells you how many cells are in series. Basically, that's a way of telling what the voltage of a lithium battery is. A 2S battery, since each lithium cell is about 3.4, 3.7 volts-ish, depending upon the battery standard. So a 2S battery is 3.7 times 2, so 7.4 volts, so a 7.5 volt power system. So this is a USB charger, so you can actually charge this off of a USB port. Also comes with a little tire wrench, that's kind of nice to have, and an instruction manual. I'll get to that in a second. Some of these manuals are good, some of these manuals aren't worth the paper to print it on, so I'm curious to see what that one looks like. But let's actually get inside the box. So down here you can see that we actually have a little car, and let's pull this out. This is special. So instead of having, you have punched out cardboard that looks like it, but then it looks like they just kind of ripped it out to fit it in. So okay, it works. I'm not going to complain about the packaging. Let's get to the car. So the car itself, wow. Okay, so this looks like, for this size, you would think it would weigh like nothing. This is a solid chunk, because what I'm feeling is this has an aluminum anodized chassis, and this looks like it is actually fairly thick. This looks like it's at least 2-3 millimeters of aluminum. Give me a second, I have a set of calipers over here. All right, so I've got my set of calipers here. These are the best Harbor Freight calipers money can buy. So right here I got it zeroed out. Well, let's zero it out right here, and let's measure how thick this chassis is. So this, if I can get in here, right here, here we go. Okay, so this is a 2 millimeter aluminum chassis. Okay, so that's not the thickest aluminum in the world, but that's not thin. So this is actually fairly beefy. Let me go grab a scale. I want to see how much this thing weighs. But first, let's open it up. You see this? You see the chassis that's through here with plastic that's going through. It's got aluminum shock towers. Okay, that's a good thing or a bad thing, and I'll get to that in a second. And got the little battery that's down here. Got the balance lead, that's important. So this right here is the combination receiver and speed control. So this will let you actually control your model. You see that it comes with Dean's plugs. Dean's plugs are solid. When I started off in the RC, I had all my batteries on Dean's, but Dean's top out about 60 amps. This power system is not going to do anything near 60 amps, so Dean's plug will be sufficient. But I'm not keeping this. I'm going to be swapping this out almost immediately. Not almost immediately. I will be swapping this off immediately. I might do one run with the stock brush motor just to see what it's like. But let's see. You've got this battery here. Doesn't really tell you anything about the capacity of it. I believe from the listing it came with a 1500 milliamp hour battery. But if you read this, if I can get it to focus, come on, there we go. You can see that it is 7.4 volts, 1500 milliamp hours. So this is a 2S battery. So just looking at the size of it and how it feels, This looks like it might actually be a legit lithium polymer battery as opposed to a lithium ion battery. This right here, this is called an 18650 lithium ion battery. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Yeah. So come on, you were just in focus. There we go. So you can see this is a 18650 lithium ion battery. This is what you will often see, a cylindrical lithium ion battery. They build up laptop batteries out of these, and they use them for a lot of consumer electronics. They're very good because they're very stable, good chemistries, but they don't produce a lot of current, and but you can beat on them. So lithium polymer batteries, they tend to have higher current capacity, but they are a little less tolerant of being abused. So you'll see a lot of low power consumer electronics or low power RC cars or airplanes will come with a battery pack that's built around these cylindrical 18650 cells. And just in case you're curious, the 18 actually refers to the diameter of the cell in millimeters, and the 650 refers to the length of the cell. So 18 millimeters across, 650 millimeters down, so 6.5 centimeters in length. Okay, so you actually don't see these used a lot in RC, or I should say in higher end RC, except for in the situation of long range aircraft batteries, because in those cases people actually build up big battery packs with a lot of these in parallel, which will actually increase your overall capacity. And you'll see that because these are very you have a very high volumetric charge storage efficiency with 18650 cells, which is the whole reason why people use them in like laptop batteries and that kind of thing. And you can actually, because they're cylindrical, you can pack a lot of them together in a form factor, kind of, it ends up looking a little bit like a honeycomb when all of them are slapped together. And you have a surprisingly small amount of wasted space. You can get a very dense battery pack that gives you a lot of power for the weight. So they're very efficient from that standpoint. But like I said, if they don't do a lot of current. So if you need a lot of current, you have to run a lot of these in parallel, which is why if you have a high current application like RC cars, you will see the lithium polymer, or sometimes they're also called prismatic lithium or lithium prismatic cells, being used for that application. Okay, but enough about battery chemistry. All right, so let me go get a scale. Okay, so typically when you see an RC like this, it's only going to weigh like half a pound max. I mean, it's going to be a featherweight. That is not a featherweight. So let's say I'm really curious to see how much this thing weighs. So let's go ahead and break out my little kitchen scale here and turn this guy on. And I'm going to convert the units from pounds to ounces so everyone knows. Let's go ahead and put this battery back in it, because I want to see what the weight is full up, ready to run. So sneak this little guy here. So I'm already seeing some things that have me curious, or things I'm going to probably have to modify, but I'll get to that in a minute. First off, just put this on. Okay, that should be good enough. And I'm just going to put this upside down. There we go. Okay, that doesn't work because it's spilling over. Let's try that again. There we go. So, and it's still spilling over. Let's try this one last time. Okay, I guess it wasn't spilling over. All right, so I'm showing 2 pounds and 4.8 ounces. Let's change that to grams for my metrically inclined folks. Okay, so this is just over a kilogram, 1,043 grams. Okay, so I believe that number, 1,043 grams. So this is a kilogram. This is, 2 pounds. This is a beefy little guy. If this was made out of plastic, like I was saying, this would weigh about half as much. So that's a good thing and it's a bad thing. But I'll get to that in a moment. Let's go ahead and continue digging into it. I see a tiny little servo down there that looks like a 9-gram servo. So that's adorable, but that's about the same size servo. Actually, it looks like a little bit bigger than that. That's bigger than a 9-gram. So I thought that this would be of the same size servo that you usually see used in a lot of RC airplanes, but it looks like it's even a little bit bigger than that. All right, so that's cute. Okay, and we've got, why are there 5 wires? 6 wires? We got a bunch of wires going to the servo. That's special. Okay, because I was initially just planning on chopping the servo wire and just hijacking the servo to use with a standard receiver. But if that's not a standard receiver, then I might have to change my plan. I might have to do some research online to see about that. But the really attractive thing about this car was the fact that it comes with a 550 size brushed motor. What that means is that this is the same size motor can that you see used in the big RCs, like 10th scales, like this right here that I bring into view. This right here is a chassis for Traxxas Rustler. This is a car that stock weighs about 5 to 6 pounds. This comes stock with a motor that's the exact same size as that. So if I have a car that weighs half as much that has the same size power system, that implies that this little sucker probably screams. So just imagine what would happen if you put in something bigger, because you can put much more powerful power systems inside of a Rustler. And I don't want to tip my hand too much as to where I'm going, but any of you guys who know me know exactly where I'm going. So there's not going to be a lot of imagination involved to see what I plan to do with this thing. All right, so moving forward, what else? Why am I so intrigued about this thing other than the fact that it's heavy? Well, looking inside of here, you can see that there's an aluminum drive shaft that's down there. And this entire drivetrain is metal. There's alloy gears inside of here going out to metal dog bones. So this has a very robust power system that is rumored to be able to handle a lot of power. So big motor, metal drive line, lots of power capacity. Hold that thought. All right, so let's finish the unboxing. I didn't even finish everything in the box. So I'm just going to set this down here and let's look at what else is in here. You can see what's sticking out. We got ourselves a radio. So here, ta-da, we have a stock standard 2.4 gigahertz radio, nothing too fancy. It's got this little thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4. It says mode. I don't know what that means. So I have to, maybe that's in the manual. But it does have a steering and throttle trim. That's very important because that way you can control the radios. And so pretty standard 2.4 gigahertz radio system. So nothing to really write home about, but it is a 2.4 gigahertz radio system. It feels really lightweight. So it doesn't, and okay, this pedal, the throttle trigger feels a little light and a little unstable. So, I mean, it's definitely what you would see out of a very entry-level RC radio, but it does have the functions. It's got a decent foam pad. It feels good in your hand. It's, like I said, it's very light, but especially if you're getting this for a kid, this would be fine. All right, so, okay, about this manual. So, I didn't have high expectations about this manual, but looking at it, you know, you can see that it's got, you know, basic instructions. Tells you the tools that you'll need for caring for the car. You know, again, basic driver instructions. And what impressed me though was it's actually got good diagrams showing you all of the CAD, basically all the designs of how everything comes together. So now, and it's fairly detailed, you know, so going through, you know, here we've got, you know, telling you how to put tires together, showing you the suspension arms. You know, now you've got like the axle links, differential shows you all the screws. It actually gives you the screws that you need, the sizes. So this is actually very good. I did not expect this for an RC in this price point. And again, it really doesn't cost them a whole lot to produce something like this because somebody had to design this thing, so somebody's got all the CAD. But a lot of RCs, especially in the low end, they don't include this information. This is all nice, very good build information. And again, going through, it's also got all of the replacement parts, all of their part numbers, description of them. So I will have to admit, my opinion of WLToys actually just stepped up a little bit because I did not expect them to have this level of documentation. Now, this is just me skimming through, looking at the pictures. I didn't actually try to read any of the actual instructions that they give because, you know, so I've pretty much just given you the entire manual here. But I mean, typically when a lot of these things for these products that were not really designed for an English speaking market come through, sometimes I'll just be honest, sometimes the language is a little rough, but usually it's good enough where you can figure it out. So, but as I said, the cool thing about this is that it's got really good assembly diagrams. So anyone who's been in this hobby for more than a little bit of time can figure this out, you know. So again, this is good documentation. I can't say anything against it. Very good stuff. WLToys, you actually impressed me. So all in all, like I said, it's actually not a bad car, especially for the money. I mean, even if you bought this at full price, when I say about $100, it's not bad. Like I said, again, looking through, it looks like you've got some pretty solid build quality. Now, the one thing I've alluded to before about these aluminum parts here, I have a mixed relationship, or I should say, I have very mixed feelings about RC aluminum parts. Now, again, I mentioned about like going through here, see a lot of nice metal parts that are going through here, but I have kind of mixed feelings about RC aluminum parts, and I talk a little bit about this in my atomic aluminum parts overview. Basically, I explain the ins and outs about what makes a good RC aluminum part and like why some parts are good and some parts are bad. But the short of the story is that a lot of RC aluminum is cast aluminum, or in some cases it's just cut from aluminum sheets. So that's not bad and it's not terrible, but the thing about that is that you end up with parts that have an amorphous microstructure. It's not crystalline. So basically, it doesn't have a lot of inherent strength. But one of the weird things about aluminum is that if you deform it, it builds up micro cracks. And those micro cracks, if you continue to bend them, then those cracks just kind of propagate, and it's like unzipping a zipper. So if you had the same part made out of steel, you could deform it, it could get crunched up, you can bend it back, and it will still have a good amount of its strength. With aluminum, not so much. After it goes through a couple cycles of being bent and then rebent or deformed and then put back into its original shape, it loses a significant amount of its strength. It loses most of its strength in some cases. So for a part that's going to get a lot of abuse, like a shock tower on a small car that happens to weigh 2 or 3 times more than it probably otherwise would if it was made out of plastic, these shock towers are going to get just hammered. So that's going to be that's just going to be a failure point. That's going to be a point where you're going to go through a hard jump. These are going to get bent, and you're not going to have much of an option but to bend them back in place. And like I said, they're fairly beefy. Like in this case, looking at it, this looks like a 3mm aluminum piece. Let's go ahead and measure it. Okay, I see 2.5. Okay, let's re-zero it. Okay. Yeah, so this is a 2.5 millimeter piece of aluminum here. Oh, wait. Did I bend it? Okay, yeah, this is 2.5 millimeters. So that's a fairly thick piece of aluminum. But like I said, if you have this car flying off a big hill, landing on concrete with these nice aluminum shocks banging through it, or you land upside down, that's going to get bent. And when that gets bent, after a few cycles, that's just going to pop. So fortunately, I have friends in the RC community. So Jeff from Factory Works is actually the guy that gave me the heads up about these things. So he reached out to me when he saw them on sale, saying, I know you like to tinker. I know you like to do goofy things. So you might want to pick up one of these things. So after I got mine on hand, I reached out to him and said, yeah, got it. And asked, what did you do to yours? And he said, well, I don't like these shock towers. So I came up with a solution. So Jeff from Factory Works was willing to send me one of his solutions. So here we actually have, oh, this is cool. He gave me some stickers too. All right. Let's go ahead and open up the package. Okay, so we got a ton of nice Factory Works stickers. Factory Works. Made in the good old US of A. Still going to send it? Okay, that's cute. All right. So these are cool stickers, Jeff. All right, so let's go ahead and get in here. So Jeff, Factory Works does a lot of custom RC pieces, and as you can see, they actually came up with a solution for this is cool. So they actually came up with a solution for these bendy parts here. These are actually cut out of fiberglass, and this is really cool because this fiberglass is extremely strong. And let's go ahead and get one of these out of the package, and let's measure the thickness of this. So these guys, so this is 2.5 millimeters again. So you see us reading 2.4. Yeah, 2.4 millimeters fiberglass. So this is probably going to have a slightly lower overall yield strength to the aluminum, but these are actually going to have some flex. So this will be able to actually take an impact and bounce back, as opposed to the aluminum shock tower that's going to take an impact and after a few is either going to deform to the point where it doesn't come back at all, or it just breaks. So these are a good upgrade for this car. So I'm very excited to go ahead and get these on and basically have this taken up a notch. But in addition, you saw this as well. These are Factory Works upper brace. So this, as you can see, will replace this plastic bracing right here. Because this, again, this is just plastic. This is just thin plastic. And what's going to happen with this car is, as you torture it and do jumps and everything, this chassis plate is going to want a taco. Basically, it's going to want to fold itself in half whenever it gets a hard impact. And eventually that's going, even though this aluminum chassis piece does have some reinforcement built into it, this little angle that you see along here, that's actually to stiffen it. So even though that is going to protect the center of the body, these two edges, the front, they're kind of freestanding there with not a whole lot of support except for this plastic piece, this chassis brace. And this is just a flat plate with a couple little ribs on top of it. That's not going to do a whole lot. So if you send this, send this hard, this isn't going to give a lot of resistance, but this nice fiberglass piece, this actually will. This has a lot more strength and a lot more bounce back. So this should be a significant strength upgrade to the car. So next time you see this guy, I'm going to have the factory works fiberglass pieces installed in place of this aluminum and this plastic piece, and I'm going to have a method figured out for my servo here. So next time you see this guy, I'm either going to have hacked this servo so I can run it on a standard receiver, or I'm going to have replaced this with just a standard 9-gram Metal Gear servo that can just drop in, take its place, and do a good job of go ahead and steering this guy. So, oh, and one of the nice things about this thing that I didn't talk about was the fact that it actually has good shocks. I mean, they're actually surprisingly good build quality. I mean, looking at it, it's got a smooth shock action. It's actually an oil-filled shock, so I can feel some of the resistance in here. It feels like it has kind of a light oil in it, so I might go with a little stiffer oil, but it's pretty decent. So I'm going to do some drop tests with it, see how it goes. So I had to make the decision if this is going to stay an off-road car or if I'm going to do something else more interesting with it. So I kind of like the idea of having a little brushless brawler that I can just throw it around and just do all kind of nuttiness with it. But there's a lot of people successfully speed running these things. Do you really need to speed run a 14th scale car? No. But do you really need to do anything with any of these platforms? So stay tuned. I'm going to figure out where I'm going to go with this. Chances are this is just going to stay a fun basher, but I might do something goofy with it. So stay tuned. All right, guys, that was enough. This is a long video, but next time you see this guy, it's going to have some significant differences to it. So stay tuned. All right, guys. Our host 21 signing out. Remember the mantra: fly, fix, fly, break it, fix it, and do it all over again. And I'm looking forward to breaking this a little bit. Hopefully not too badly, but you know, that's sometimes just how it goes. All right, guys. Don't forget to check me out online: Facebook, Instagram, RC Fitness Sandbox, House Creation fan page, Venom RC Lifestyle page. You know where to find me. I'm all over the place. Okay, guys. Check me out in all those places. Join in the conversation. If you want to just hang out, ask questions, you know, all the other good stuff that we do in RC. All right, guys. Our house 21 signing out. Peace.